This video will review the inquiry project. Candidates will conduct an inquiry-based action research project in the spring semester for each year of induction. The inquiry project provides candidates the opportunity to test a new instructional solution they have learned about during that year. The instructional solution they choose to investigate will address a focused learning concern they have determined for that year's class. These slides will review the steps required to conduct the inquiry project, including data collection and inquiry evidence, which will be submitted in Canvas in the form of 3 analysis and reflection tools, as well as 3 corresponding lesson plans. Please check Canvas for feedback to ensure that your ILP Part 2 has met standards prior to beginning the inquiry project. There are several resources in Canvas, including guide documents with more detailed directions, rubrics, and elementary, secondary, and special education samples that you can refer to, as well as the other resources listed on this slide. You will want to check Canvas for the specific due date of your inquiry evidence. Candidates will routinely implement the instructional solution noted in the driving question of their ILP Part 2 over a month-long time frame. It is important to consider your school district's calendar to align this with your inquiry implementation. For example, you should take into consideration holidays or breaks from school, as well as any other activities that may affect your implementation as you plan your month-long inquiry project. Mentors and candidates should also work together to coordinate the second mentor observation during inquiry. You will collect 3 evidence sets, one at the beginning of the inquiry project, one in the middle, and one at the very end. An evidence set includes a lesson plan and an analysis and reflection tool, using the data identified in the inquiry project proposal. So you will be submitting a total of 3 lesson plans and 3 analysis and reflection tools. This is your one upload to Canvas that is outside the ILP document. The data you analyzed for your analysis and reflection tool was identified in the inquiry project proposal. Remember, the data needs to directly assess the effectiveness of the instructional solution you are testing in your classroom. Also, be sure to collect whole class data, as this will be analyzed in addition to the data from your 3 case study students that you previously identified. Your data analysis will include a 4-point criteria rubric, which will be part of the analysis and reflection tool explained in the next slides. Candidates will be submitting 3 analysis and reflection tools as part of the inquiry evidence. The analysis and reflection tools are designed to help you plan subsequent lessons, making adjustments and modifications to meet the needs of your students. This tool also documents the process of analyzing student work and reflecting on your teaching practice as you determine the instructional effectiveness of the lessons you are teaching. You will find the analysis and reflection tool in Canvas. This slide shows an image of this tool. There are elementary, secondary, and special education samples also in Canvas that can show you what a completed tool should look like. You will want to complete the analysis and reflection tool as soon as possible after teaching the lesson so the information is easier to recall and you can plan next steps for your class accordingly. Let's review the steps to completing the analysis and reflection tool after conducting your lesson that includes your instructional solution. The steps are color-coded on the slide to match the section of the analysis and reflection tool. There is a header to this tool that is not shown in the image. Be sure to complete this information, which includes your name, mentor, grade level or subject, your driving question, and other ILP-related information. You will first describe the learning outcomes identified for the lesson in the sections shaded light blue. Be sure that you clearly identify the instructional solution that is being tested in your classroom. Next, you will define the performance criteria for your data source in a 4-point rubric. You identified this data source in ILP Part 2. You will determine what is considered far below standards, approaching standards, meeting standards, and exceeding standards, and you will describe this in the boxes that are highlighted here in yellow. Be specific. After you've collected whole class student work, it is helpful to sort the work into these 4 piles as you categorize students by performance levels. Add their names or initials to the boxes that are noted in orange. Be sure to add all students in your class and identify your case study students by using all caps when completing the steps. If you use initials for confidentiality reasons, please make your case study students bold to help easily identify them. You will then specifically describe the individual performance of your 3 case study students, the darker blue box, and then describe what each case study student needs to do in order to advance in the boxes that are shaded in blue. Think about what the student needs to do in order to achieve the next performance level. Keep in mind that even case study students who exceed standards need to be challenged, so carefully consider what could be done to advance these high-achieving students. You can use either narrative or bullet point format for this table. If a case study student is absent for a lesson, you will need to include a replacement student to represent that subgroup in the analysis and reflection tool. Remember, a case study student represents a subgroup of students within a class. The next 2 sections of the analysis and reflection tool pertain to your whole class. In the first box, noted in light blue, identify whole class performance patterns. This is an opportunity for candidates and mentors to collaboratively analyze the data and determine patterns that may help plan subsequent lessons. In the second box, shaded yellow, describe your plan to differentiate for the whole class. Once you have determined patterns in student performance, you will document how you plan to address the needs of the students in each category to move them forward. An important aspect of differentiation is that students' needs will vary based on their skill level. Both of these first 2 boxes can be in narrative or bullet point format. The final box, noted in orange, asks 2 reflection questions that are specific to teacher actions. The first question asks you to identify one of your strengths, and the second question asks you to identify an area of continued growth from this specific lesson. Again, this is about you as the teacher and your practice, and not about your students' actions. Candidates will complete a formal lesson plan for each evidence set, with a total of 3 lesson plans being submitted to Canvas. The purpose of the lesson plans are to provide a context for the analysis and reflection tools, which are also part of the evidence sets. Be sure that each lesson plan clearly identifies the instructional solution being tested. There are a variety of lesson plan tools in Canvas that can be used, or you can use your own if you have a district template or other lesson plan template that you are comfortable with. After conducting the lesson and completing the reflection and analysis tool, it is important to use this insight to plan subsequent lessons, making modifications as needed. Inquiry evidence is the only non-ILP upload candidates will do in Canvas on the Inquiry Evidence Assignment page. You can find this page quickly by clicking on the Inquiry Project button on your Canvas homepage. You can upload all 3 data sets as one merged document or upload each individually. If you choose to upload individual documents, please label them clearly as Lesson Plan 1, Analysis and Reflection 1, etc. Be sure to check Canvas for your district's specific due date. As mentioned before, a mentor observation will occur during the inquiry project. Documentation in the form of the observation tool will be uploaded by the mentor to their Canvas course. Don't forget all the great resources in Canvas to assist you in your inquiry project. These are guides, samples, and rubrics. It is helpful to review your evidence sets with your mentor while using the rubric to be sure you have met all requirements. Finally, once you submit your inquiry evidence, please look for feedback in Canvas prior to beginning ILP Part 3, which includes the inquiry summary. Please reach out to your mentor or lead mentor with any additional questions you may have about the inquiry process.